Today, we're going to work on combination problems and how to overcome them in your shooting.
Today's video is brought to us by Mantis. The Mantis family of products is integral to ASP staff building handgun and carbine skills and are your most economical and fastest path to improvement in your skills too. Whether you choose the X10, the Laser Academy, the Blackbeard, or use them all in concert, they will help your practice be more effective, efficient, and fun. Go check them out, pick up a unit, and thank them for sponsoring today's video.
Hey guys, Brian Hill with The Complete Combatant. You're on Active Self-Protection Extra, and this is your Mantis Dry Fire Monday. We've been working on some diagnostic issues that we see a lot. I'm teaching my 3-day deliberate coaching class. This is the third day of it. So I'm out on the range at 7 a.m. to do a video with you guys. One of the big problems we see is where you have a mixed problem. So maybe it's a low and a left, or a high and a right. It's where multiple things are happening. Single problems are a lot easier to correct. A vertical stringing, horizontal stringing, I did a couple videos on those. It's usually fairly simple diagnostics, but this is a little bit harder, and people don't know which rabbit to chase as they work this. Let's start with the low and left problem. It happens quite frequently for right-handed shooters, or low and right for left-handed shooters. Usually there's a combination issue of a movement of the body and a movement of the hand, or a lack of grip or blocking pressure. But what you have to ascertain is which one is is a bigger problem. So when you look at the target, look to see if it's lower, or it's more to the left, or more to the right. If it's lower, we want to work on that first and get rid of that big issue, and then we'll narrow in on the smaller issue. If it's more off to the side, we want to fix that first as much as we can. Here's some basic things that I see, and there's no concrete way. There's never just one way to correct these issues, but this is one that I see, and it becomes a body cadence problem. It's a timing problem. So what happens is the person begins to shoot. My firearm out here. So what I see on the line is everybody makes a good grip here, and they aim in, and now they begin to shoot, and the whole body shifts forward as they begin. So the shifting happens, and now the finger comes to the trigger, and what we have is you see the dot moving, and you're like, I got to stop that, and they grip at the same time. So as they lean, they try to apply more pressure because they see movement that they don't like, and then they grip harder with a support hand, and maybe they slam into the trigger a little bit. So it's a cadence issue. Like should actually, if you feel like you need to lean in your shooting, which you shouldn't have to lean a lot. You know, we're not experiencing a lot of force from a handgun, but do that before you shoot, before you aim. So when you get on the gun, if you feel like you need to be a little more forward, get forward first. All right, and then as you do the motion, make sure that the support hand has a good firm grip on it, and then watch the dot to see if it moves. Okay, that leaning becomes a cadence of shooting. I'm applying pressure as my body comes forward, then I squeeze the hand and I shoot, and it creates this double issue. Of course, if you can't reach the trigger well and your finger's rubbing on the side of the frame, that can cause the gun to move to the side. We always want to grip harder with a support hand, but this leaning thing becomes a big issue, and I believe it is a physical cadence of focus, and as I focus, I begin to lean into the gun. That should all be done before you start shooting. Listen, if you were going to get in a fight with somebody, you wouldn't start to get in your fighting stance. When you get ready to shoot, you should be ready to shoot so that we can focus on the essential fundamentals. Establish postural stability first, then work on sights and trigger and follow your process. You'll find that the shooting gets a lot better. The other area I see this creep up a lot is in long range shooting. So as we move back and the brain starts to say, boy, that's really far away, we start to apply a different fundamental. And when I make people shoot bullseye drills in my class, each range gets a different bullseye. So you shoot one at 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. So I can see the decisional process. And what I'm looking for is a similar group. The 5-yard group should be the same pattern as the 25-yard group. It just may be 5 times bigger. Maybe not. But the cone of deviation says that may be what's happening. But what I see is a lot of really good shooters, they tend to start to shoot high. And if they have a red dot, they're going to say it's their offset. But mathematically, that can't be true. We don't have that much rise in a 9mm bullet to be 3 or 4 inches above the bullseye. This is what I see is the same similar process as the low and left, but as they begin to aim, what happens is they lean, but they hold the dot still. And as they lean, they lift the gun. And what happens, they say, now it looks good, and the gun continues to lift, and then they press the trigger. That lean is a very detrimental part of shooting. So make sure that you get your postural stability set first. I don't talk a lot about stance. We're in an active moving environment, and stances don't really exist. Postural stability does. How are we going to adjust to the forces that are being pushed on us by the gun and the vote that the ground gets as we move? So we want our body to be in good stability. Think about riding a bicycle or a horse. How do you maintain postural stability? You get your core and everything lined up. So we want the body to be in a straight line. Try to eliminate a leaning process front or back. A lot of appendix carriers, since when they go to holster, they really push their hips forward and they put the gun away, which is a very good habit, guys. I'm in no way saying that's not a good habit, but that becomes the issue on the range, and they do this, they stretch everything out. And what I see with a lot of shooters is when they go to aim, the body is actually backwards. So then they're leaning this way, and the lean happens the other way. It goes the opposite way. There are 5 types of postures that exist for human beings. One is a truly neutral posture, and the other ones become curvatures that take into account the head, the shoulders, and the hips and the way the feet line up. So try to stand up as strongly as you can. The stronger the body is, the more everything's lined up, the greater the coordination, the easier it is to apply it against forces acting upon the body. All right, I hope that helps you guys. Diagnostically, it's best for you, especially if you're by yourself, to get the video out and put it on each side of you, put it in back of you. Every time you shoot, watch where the body shifts, how it gives. If it gives a little bit like that, you don't have a good blocking force in play, and try to apply your postural stability to that. Remember, when you're gripping the gun, you're not gripping with your hands, you're gripping with your arms, you're gripping with your shoulders, and then that's transferred through the abdomen by pressing the abs down and getting a good stance. Diagnostics are hard. The Mantis gives you a good opportunity to look at the graphing chart and see how the aiming process is going. That's the gun end of it. Then you get the video out and you watch the people end of it, and you see what's happening, so you get a couple set of eyes. If you don't have that available, get a friend to watch you shoot and watch for you moving. Just recognize that sometimes friends have preferences of, they think this correction will fix everything because it worked for them. It's not always true. Get them to really look and watch and see where you're giving way and where you're turning, leaning, and pressing, and that'll get rid of that. And then you can shoot at a very high level in a deliberate mode because you're just pressing the trigger and watching the sights. Get rid of these little physical cadences and see if that really helps you guys. I know my sound's not great today. I've had microphone issues, and I apologize for that, but I'll get that all sorted out. I just wanted to get a quick video out before class started, and I hope you guys will get after your training. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments, and we'll try to get back to them as soon as possible. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, and use your Mantis to keep working on it. Don't pursue the scores as much as you watch the aiming and graphing chart. Work on your holster draw analysis, and you're going to find a lot of gold in there to improve yourself as a shooter. It's another set of eyes. It's an electronic coach for you to use. All right, I'm Brian Hill with The Complete Combatant. And as always, measure, refine, and perform.